A very, very beautiful morning to you. You're welcome to a sports personality show on Atlantic Television Network. And of course, today's edition of the show promises to be very, very exciting. So we're going to be taking a look at one lady who has done so well in the beautiful world of tennis, and no other than Elena Rybakina. Of course, she set new record for most prize money won by a tennis player during the WTA finals. So, of course, we'll take a look at that and what, of course, she's done, in her career so far. Promises to be an exciting one this morning. We'll take a break. When we return, we'll dive straight into the life of Elena Rybakina. Stay with us right back. Yeah, welcome back. It's the Sports Personality Show on Atlantic Television Network. And of course, I told you we'll be taking a look at the life of Elena Rybakina. Really been, of course, an impressive one for her, especially this season in tennis. And joining me to take a look at the life of Elena Rybakina this morning is Miracle Onyekazi. Miracle, good morning to you, and welcome to Sports Personality this morning.
Yeah, good morning, Kinsley. Good morning, Port Harcourt. It's always nice to be here to talk sports.
All right, let's, of course, bring you the latest as it concerns Elena Rybakina on the show. We told you, of course, she, of course, had a very, very impressive, performance, and a lot, of course, to take a look at this point in time. And we'll take a look at early life. We understand that the talented 26-year-old was born in Moscow, Russia, and started playing tennis when she was 6 years. 6 years old after her father introduced her to the sport. She trained at the Sparta Club in Moscow as a junior and joined a strong junior career, reaching number 3 in the world junior ranking. She was introduced to tennis by her father when she was 6 years old, after initially having taken part in gymnastics and ice skating with her sister before she was told that she would be too tall for those sports. Elena revealed that she had to make the decision about whether to pursue a career in tennis after finishing school or not. Miracle, what do you make of early life? Talking about Elena Rybakina being introduced, to tennis at the age of 6. Despite the fact that tennis was not actually, first, let's say, what she has passion for initially. Of course, we understand she actually participated in gymnastics and ice skating as a stand. What do you make of, her early life and how she finally settled down for tennis.
Yeah, for me, I think Elena Rybakina have been one of those prominent names over the years when it comes to the WTA. I think growing up at a youthful age, and she had that exposure to a lot of sports by her dad. I think her dad was one of those people that mentored her, that coached her at that early age, beginning sports at the age of 6. For me, I think it's a very, very young age for you to start nurturing a kid or a child in sporting activities, and it's actually good for the growth of sports development. I think her not choosing tennis initially as her first sport was not that she didn't love tennis, but she felt that maybe she had the opportunities to participate in other sports better than she did for tennis. Yeah, the likes of ice skating, the likes of gymnastics also, she had passion for those sports as well. But unfortunately for her, because of her height advantage, and she was a bit she's a tall girl, a very tall girl, and she was told that her height was going to be a disadvantage to her when it comes to participating in gymnastics as well as ice skating. But she didn't let that get to her. She didn't let that maybe make her feel less than or less than any of her other peers. She actually just took up other opportunities by making sure that she involved herself more in tennis, and we can see what she's achieved so far through that.
Impressive one, of course. Of course, taking a look at it, maybe we cannot say that tennis was not her first love. Looking at the fact that she, of course, she was really interested in gymnastics, and ice skating at this point in time. But she actually, settled down for tennis after her father, of course, convinced her, to go into tennis at this point in time. But will you say that Elena Rybakina's, father actually, of course, saw the future, taking a look at what, of course, she's been able to achieve so far in tennis?
Yeah, sometimes our parents, our coaches, or people that we look up to actually know how. I don't know how it works, but they always have a feeling that this is good for you, this is not good for you. They actually foresee some things, and her father was one of those people that saw that his daughter actually might become a good tennis player in future. That's why he started engaging her into tennis, and so far we've seen how she's come out becoming one of the greatest superstars from tennis. And in our country, we don't hear so much about females involving in sports. Talk more of tennis. Being from Kazakhstan, born in Russia, for me, I think is something that she should be commended for, because we don't normally hear Kazakhstani athletes participating in tennis. Maybe in the likes of martial arts and the rest. The UFC, you see some Kazakhstani athletes there, but it's a bit rare for you to see Kazakhstani athletes participating in tennis. And Elena Rybakina have been one of those people that have come out stronger. And yes, she can say that she's one of those few people that have participated in tennis from Kazakhstan.
So that's to say that the father actually saw the future, knowing that she's going to be, of course, a great tennis player. But do you think maybe she would have been a global star if maybe she has gone into gymnastics, and ice skating, just like we know about Simone Biles of United States of America, when it has to do with, gymnastics? You think Rybakina would have possibly been that global star, in gymnastics at this point?
Yeah, for me, you never know. You never know what can happen or what would have happened. For me, I think her future was just tied around tennis. For me, I feel like her future was tied around tennis. She needed to make that move. She needed to make that push. Maybe if she was a gymnast or she was involved in ice skating, we would have been hearing much about her. But let's not forget that tennis is one of the biggest sporting activities or sporting events in the world. The likes of football, tennis, basketball, these sports activities are top notch, and they are higher than some other few sporting activities like ice skating. And for me, I think tennis have given her more exposure and more influence over than she would have gotten if she was participating in the likes of ice skating and gymnastics.
And of course, if you take a look at it, a very, very good early life, you see, for Elena Rybakina. She was properly, guided, by her parents, especially her father, to, go into tennis. And today, She's a global star. She actually put up a very impressive performance in the just concluded, WTA finals. And that's bring me to another question, Miracle. What do you make of the role the father played, and how do you think, of course, other, let's say, African parents or Nigerian parents, of course, should, imbibe this? You trying to parents making sure that they guide their children, of course, while growing up. But you think this, of course, is a good example for Nigerian parents, especially, of course, to follow, because sometimes, parents, they give birth to their children, and then at the end of the day, no proper guidance on which career or profession, of course, to follow, at this point in time. What do you make of it? Should Nigerian parents, of course, imbibe this, gesture we saw from Elena Rebekina's father?
Yeah, definitely, Kingsley. Definitely, Kingsley. Things like this are what parents should emulate. Hearing that you encourage your kid to start participating in sports at a youthful age, at a very young age, for me is very, very, very good. It's something that we should commend. I think another thing I can take from this is the fact that her father didn't push her or didn't make a decision for her when she was about to switch maybe from gymnastics or ice skating to tennis. He didn't force her maybe to remain at ice skating or to move to gymnastics. He let her make her decision, and he was always there to support. He was always there to support her. He didn't make the decision for her. And yes, I think if parents can emulate this, push their kids, support them, back them up, nurture them well when it comes to sports, for me, I think is the right way to go.
And of course, sometimes, we always hear maybe down there in Europe, parents actually are so particular about the career choice, of their children. Whenever the child, start growing up, they look at the child and try to see the future, of the child, and possibly try to, of course, train that particular child on that field. That's why, of course, you see in Europe, some of these footballers, they're not really that, they're not graduates. Some of them dive into football, train, maybe study at the same time, but sometimes some of them just, go straight into football and all of that, and later comes back, of course, to maybe finish their studies, and all of that. And you think that could be possible down here in Africa, or precisely here, in Nigeria?
For me, I think it's very difficult. It's very difficult because, mixing our educational system right here in Nigeria with involvement in sports is very, very difficult. Over there in the US, I think they have what they call college football. You mix education and your sport together. You even get drafted from your college instantly. Even in NBA, you get drafted for playing college NBA, NCAA. So I feel like right here in Nigeria is very difficult. In countries like South Africa, I think they've already put a platform whereby you can get athletes straight right from their universities. You can get athletes straight right from their universities. I've seen a lot of basketball university tournaments in South Africa. Even football, they have, I'm forgetting what they call it now, Philly Games. They have what they call the Philly Games right there in South Africa, where universities participate in football tournaments every year. Different universities in South Africa, they mix their education as well as their sporting activities together. That's where you see a lot of footballers, a lot of athletes get drafted directly into the league. So for me, I think right here in Nigeria is difficult because we have a lot of things to start putting in place. We still have a lot to be done. I think our league still have to promote our league and make our league a more good expose our league to the world. But over there in Europe, for me, I think it's better and it's much more easier than down here.
All right, so let's take a look at more about Elena Rebekina. After continue to make impressive progress, she made her debut on the WTA Tour in October 2017. And of course, after an impressive junior career in which she reached number 3 in the world rankings, Elena made her debut on WTA Tour in October 2017, like I said, at the Kremlin Cup in Moscow, and she came through qualifying to reach the main draw, but lost to Irina Camela Bogu of Romania in the first round. She won her first WTA Tour level match in February 2018 against Timur Bosenski at the St. Petersburg Trophy. She then won her next match against Carolina Garcia to reach the quarterfinals, where she lost to Julia Georges. Um, she actually lost her debut in a WTA, event. What do you make of it? I think probably could be due to, lack of experience. That was her very, very first, professional, game in the WTA.
Yeah, I want to agree with you on that one, Kingsley. I think she was coming into the game for the very first time. She didn't have as much experience as her counterparts, so she needed that particular game to build. And for me, I think she took the L very, very well, and she went back to the drawing board and looked for ways to improve on herself. I think when she came back stronger. And ever since then, we've seen how Elena Rybakina have been performing, especially in the WTA tours. I think she's won about 11 WTA titles so far in her career. And for me, I think it's a very, very fantastic one. Knowing the fact that she just started participating in professional tennis in 2017 and winning up to 11 WTA titles so far, for me, I think it's a fantastic one.
Fantastic one, of course, you say, for Elena Rybakina, putting up that one. Of course, was a very good outing for her in her WTA debut. Now, after continuing to make progress throughout 2018, she broke into the world's top 200 for the first time in her career. Rybakina's first WTA title came in July 2019 at the Bucharest Open when she was 20 years old. She defeated Patra Miratek 6-2, 6-love in just 1 hour and 5 minutes in the final to claim the trophy. And the victory ensured that she break into the top 100 in the WTA rankings for the first time in her career. Her impressive performances helped her up to number 37 in the world rankings in 2019. So you take a look at her progress right from, she made her debut, of course. We saw her being ranked 200, from 200 to 137 as a point, in 2019. What do you make of that progress, for her?
For me, I think it has been a massive progress for Elena Rybakina so far. She's moved from step to step, and for me, the most important thing that she doesn't let her progress get to her. She doesn't even play like someone that have been or that have even won a Grand Slam title. The hype is not around Elena Rybakina. You don't see that hype when it comes to Elena Rybakina, but she's a Grand Slam winner. But that's why so far she's continued to progress when it comes to WTA titles, when it comes to even the Grand Slam. Although she's not really won much in the Grand Slam, but she's always in that top front. She's always in that medal table. She's always competing at the highest stage, reaching later stages when it comes to the Grand Slam. Yeah, so for me, I think she's progressed a lot, moving from the top 200 to top 100 and top 37. I think she was even ranked in top 10 at a point in her career. So for me, I think there's been a lot of progress when it comes to Elena Rybakina.
A lot of progress, of course, for Elena Rybakina at this point in time. Well, we'll see how it goes. Of course, been an impressive one. But talking about her performance in 2019, she continued to make steady progress. And her second WTA title, of course, followed at the Herbert International in Australia in January 2020 after she defeated fourth seed Zhang Shuai 7-6, 6-3 in the final. Was such, of course, an impressive performance, from her. Of course, it's been an impressive ride, so far since she made a professional, debut in tennis. It's been win upon win, progress upon progress up to this moment. To bring you more of our progress when we return, of course, from this short break. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Yeah, welcome back. Of course, the Still Sports Personality Show on Atlantic Television Network, and of course, we'll be taking a look at the life of Elena Rybakina. She's been very, very fantastic, especially at the just concluded WTA finals, of course, where she bagged a lot of money in that particular one. Let's, of course, dive straight into what, of course, she's done so far as well. Once again, for herself. I understand that Rybakina continued to make progress in 2021, and after having reached the second round of the Australian Open, she made her first Grand Slam quarterfinals at the French Open in Paris. She reached the last 8 in Paris without dropping a single set. It follows into Anastasia Pavlyuchenkova in 3 sets. Rybakina tested Grand Slam glory for the first time at Wimbledon in July 2022, and she triumphed over Ons Jabeur in the final 3-6, 6-2, 6-2 in that one. I remember that one was really a painful one, for Ons Jabeur, who has been looking for a Grand Slam title, for a very, very long time. What do you make of it? At 2022, she won. In 2022, she won her first, Grand Slam. Talking about Elena Rybakina, what do you make of that feat, for her?
Yeah, for me, Kingsley, I think it was a fantastic performance, and it was a dominant performance from Elena Rybakina. I think she won in 2 sets in that particular one against Ons Jabeur. I can remember that one very, very well because I think the whole of Africa were rooting for Ons Jabeur in that particular game. And she actually came out on the losing end in that one. All victory goes to Elena Rybakina. I think she was fantastic in that one. We all know how powerful her serve can be, how consistent she can be on the court, very, very aggressive when it comes to those serves. And ever since then, that she won the Grand Slam, I think she's been flying high. And although she's not really won another Grand Slam, but in the WTAs, I think she's been doing well for herself. And she's moved up to number 3 since then, also in the world rankings. And yeah, it was a fantastic display from her. But I think she still needs to do more when it comes to performing on the Grand Slam in the highest level. She needs to start.
Since 2022, she hasn't won a Grand Slam.
Yeah, and which is actually a long time. In a year, we have about 4 Grand Slam titles. Since 2022 is about maybe 12 Grand Slams she's participated in, and she's not been able to win another one. And for me, I think she still needs to do a lot. She's still young. She's 26. She still has the opportunity to win more Grand Slam. But for me, I think consistency is key. She needs to be consistent enough for her to be able to maybe reach the later stages in the Grand Slam or win more Grand Slam titles.
You're talking about the fact that yes, she normally have good performance, in the WTA titles, but we don't see that same performance, in the Grand Slam. What's the difference? What does it mean to play in the Grand Slam? Do you need more energy or more skill or whatever to hit, of course, or maybe win a Grand Slam, title? Because you take a look at the WTA, she has always been consistent a bit, but struggles in the Grand Slam since 2022, like we mentioned, she has not won a Grand Slam. What do you think could be the reason for this performance in this tournament, for her performance in this tournament?
Yeah, for me, I think playing in the WTAs and playing in the Grand Slam, it's 2 different ball games. I think there's a lot of work to be done when you play in the Grand Slam. There's a lot of pressure playing in the Grand Slam. Playing in a big crowd like the Wimbledon or the Roland Garros, you see the fans cheering, some fans booing. And we all know how athletes can feel when things like this happen. These athletes are human beings, and sometimes their emotions can get to them. And let's not forget, too, that in the Grand Slam, there's a lot of competition. Everybody wants to win a Grand Slam. So everybody comes with their A game when it comes to playing the Grand Slam. And it's just once in a year. But the WTA titles, you have enough time for you to put yourself together. Even if you lose a particular tour, you still have another tour for you to make up for it. So for me, I think playing the Grand Slam and playing the WTA tours, they are 2 different ball games.
So you think she does not have really what it takes, to manage the pressure and try to maybe get to the top in the Grand Slam?
I think not that she does not have what it takes. I mean, she's won a Grand Slam before. But for me, I think she just needs to put in much more effort and be consistent enough when it comes to participating in the Grand Slam. You need to be consistent enough. You need to put effort. You need to be determined, and focus is key when it comes to participating in the Grand Slam. You see a lot of competition from your counterparts, the likes of Arina Sabalenka, the likes of Coco Gauff, the likes of Iga Swiatek. These and guys are big performance when it comes to the Grand Slam. They always reach the later stages. They are always there for the queue. So for me, I think Elena Rybakina still needs a lot to be done. She still has a lot to be done, putting more effort when it comes to participating in the Grand Slam titles. And I feel like, yes, definitely she'll be able to rack in a 1 or 2 before she ends her career.
And of course, let's see how it goes. Since 2022, we're looking forward to see Elena Rybakina maybe bagging another Grand Slam. We'll see how it goes. But 26 years of age, you know, how many Grand Slams do you see for Elena Rybakina, you know, before she, you know, call it a quit in her career?
Yeah, for me, it's difficult to say. It's difficult to predict because of the competition and inconsistency that happens in the WTA. There's a lot of inconsistency in the WTA. You can't predict that this person will win this particular one. For me, I think the only 2 consistent players I've seen over the last 2 years that I can see is Arina Sabalenka and Iga Swiatek.
Yeah.
These 2 players have become consistent over the years in the Grand Slam as well as in the WTA. So for me, I think me predicting how many Grand Slams she wins before the end of her career is going to be very, very difficult. But yeah, definitely I think she might actually come up with 1 extra, for, maybe to add to the one she's already won. And I think it would be a fantastic one if you'd be able to win at least 1 more Grand Slam before the end of her career.
She's the first, you know, Kazakhstani to win a major, that's a Grand Slam, and to rank into the world top 10. First Kazakhstan tennis player, you know, to do so. Even though she doesn't win another Grand Slam before she, of course, she retires, you think, you know, Elena Rybakina will be that tennis player that will be in the lips of so many tennis lovers?
Yeah, definitely. You don't see much tennis players from Kazakhstan. Even from Asia as a whole, you don't see too more players from Asia playing. I know Kazakhstan
like
is in
Europe. They don't really have that interest in tennis?
Yeah, they have other preference when it comes to sports. Like if you go to Asia, their number 1 sport is cricket. If you go to Kazakhstan, I don't think tennis is their number 1 sport. It's cricket as well. They love playing cricket as well. You see them playing cricket. You see the likes of just like in South Africa, you see them playing the rugby. So each terrain, each region have a particular sport that they actually benefit from and that they love playing. So for me, I think Elena Rybakina being the first Kazakhstani to finish in the top 10, I think she was actually ranked number 3. World number 3 at a point in time in her career. For me, it's already a plus to her name. It's already an achievement for her and a big milestone that she climbed. So for me, I think she's done a lot, and she can still do more to promote tennis and to make sure that she finishes her career at the highest level.
World number 3, of course, you mentioned, and that was around 2022, where she won the Wimbledon. And of course, currently she's ranked world number 5. With the dominance of the likes of Arina Sabalenka, Iga Swiatek, you see Elena Rybakina testing world number 1, you know, in the future?
Yeah, it can happen. It can happen as far as she's consistent enough. If she keeps up with her consistency and especially reach the later stages in the Grand Slam as well as the WTA tours, it can definitely happen. She just beat world number 2 some couple of days back, Arina Sabalenka, beat her in 2 sets, and you don't see that happen every day. For me, I think she has all
world number 1, you mean?
Yeah, world number 1, Arina Sabalenka. She has what it takes to beat any tennis player as far as her head is in the game, and she's determined and she's consistent.
And of course, we'll see how it goes for Elena Rybakina. She's been putting up, of course, a very impressive performance. And talking about, you know, getting to world number 1, you have to win the Grand Slams, because the Grand Slams, of course, come with more points. 2,000 points, of course, in a particular Grand Slam. That's massive. Unlike the WTA, where you have 500, 1,000. That might not really fetch you more points, maybe to compete for the world number 1 spot. So it all boils down to her winning in Grand Slams. Currently, world number 5. So, 2, 3, 4 Grand Slams, maybe in a year, could possibly push her to that world number 1 position. But when you take a look at the dominance of Arina Sabalenka, Iga Swiatek, you ask yourself, can this be possible, for Elena Rybakina? She just have to win the Grand Slams.
Yeah, definitely, Kinsley. Definitely, Kinsley. That's why I keep on saying that she needs to be consistent. She needs to be consistent. Now, we've seen her win the WTA tour. When else are we going to see her win something like that again? When else are we going to see her win a huge competition like the Grand Slam next year? Because I feel like there's no more Grand Slam this year again.
Yeah.
Next year, the Grand Slam resumes with I think the Roland Garros, if I'm not, or the Australian Open. The Australian Open. Yeah, I think the Australian Open is where a lot of fans will be rooting for her and rooting for her to perform. She needs to create that dominance between her and her other counterparts. She needs to be dominant enough for her to be able to participate.
If you take a look at the points disparity, so huge. World number 1, Arina Sabalenka, is she has 10,870 points. Elena Rybakina, seated 5th, is 5,850 points. So you have to be consistent in our winning about 3 Grand Slams to even see how to compete with Arina Sabalenka at this point in time.
Yeah, I think the points difference is very, 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 very huge. I think she actually doubles the point of Elena Rybakina.
Yeah.
She doubles it, and I think Arina Sabalenka will not even be wanting to lose any more Grand Slam by next year. She'll be on that top front of competing at the highest level. She's always there. She's always found herself competing, winning Grand Slams, and I don't, except injury. Maybe the only thing I see that can hamper the form and the consistency of Arina Sabalenka is injury for me, and also her other rival, Iga Swiatek, because Iga Swiatek is also in the picture, because I know how dominant she can be on her own day, win about six Grand Slams already. So for me, I think Elena Rybakina has to be consistent enough.
Consistency, of course, is the key for Elena Rybakina at this point in time if she wants to attain that world number 1 spot. She's the first tennis player from Kazakhstan to get to the top 10, in tennis. And 2022, she was ranked world number 3. Currently, of course, world number 5. The question is, can she test that world number 1 position? We'll take a look at that, as it stands. I will understand that she continued to improve, reaching the semi-finals for the Tokyo Olympics, and mark her career highlights by winning the 2022 Wimbledon as well. Her 2023 season saw her reach the Australian Open final win. She actually got to the Australian Open final. That was in 2023, but I couldn't get that one. That, of course, would have been another opportunity for her bagging another Grand Slam miracle.
Yeah, I think it was very, very sad that she was not able to see that one through. She was not able to see that one through. I think she's gone out in some couple of late stages in the Grand Slam, like the semi-final stages as well as the quarter-final stages. But that's still what I'm talking about. She needs to find a way to start making it through to the finals. She needs to find a way to start grinding her results, and especially at the right time. I think the Grand Slam have been difficult for her for the last couple of years. She's not been able to replicate the same form that she replicates in WTA down there to the Grand Slams. And it's only her that can answer that question for herself, why she's not been doing so great in the Grand Slams. Because I think she has all the take, she has all the talent for her to make it at top level.
And of course, still that 2023, she won 2 WTA 1000 titles down there and reached the world number 3 ranking, we told you. And in 2025, she won the 2025 WTA finals. Rybakina is noted for her excellent serve and can generate high-powered ground stroke. She plays primarily from the baseline. And let's take a look at, of course, the WTA finals and how, of course, she was able to bag that huge amount of money. Elena Rybakina re-established herself as one of the significant players in women's tennis. as she closed out a week of devastating performances against the best in the world by, of course, completely overpowering Arina Sabalenka to capture one of the biggest titles of her career at the WTA Finals in Riyadh with a 6-3, 7-6 win, having finished the season-ending tournament. Unbeaten in her 5 matches, Rybakina is now over $5 million richer, earning the greatest prize money haul in the history of women's sports. Miracle, let's take a look at that impressive performance from her. She actually went down to the final undefeated, and back that, of course, huge amount of money. What do you think would have possibly been the inspiration for Elena Rybakina in this year's edition of the WTA Finals? Hosting out big names, even the word they talk about Elena Rybakina, I beg your pardon, Sabalenka. You know, what do you make of that performance?
I think, for me, I think it was a monetary determination.
Monetary?
Yeah.
The money was the motivation?
The money was definitely the motivation. We know how female tennis have struggled sometimes in the past, and the athletes have come out to criticize them not being paid as much as their other male counterpart. And then whenever they see opportunities like this, especially from big money spenders, oil money boosters like the Saudi, I think it's an opportunity to grab. It's a one day lifetime opportunity. So for me, I think the determination was there. The focus was on the prize. For me, I think that big prize money was one of the reasons she was able to up her game and make sure that she reached that final and honest her opponent in 2 sets. And for me, I think she did all she was able to do just to make sure that her hand was on that prize money. And yes, it was the perfect display from Elena Rybakina.
So are you saying the likes of Arina Sabalenka, Iga Swiatek, Coco Gauff and the rest, they were not really motivated by the prize money?
Not to say so, but I feel like Elena Rybakina wanted it more. Elena Rybakina wanted it more. The likes of Coco Gauff, the likes of Iga Swiatek, and the likes of Arina Sabalenka. I mean, these people have been winning Grand Slams. And we all know how the kind of money that comes with winning a Grand Slam over the years. But her, it's been quite a while. She won something big for herself. So she needed to up her game. She needed to focus on the prize and to make sure that she reached the later stages. Then when you reach the later stages of the competition, you actually have a chance of winning it. But if you get knocked out early, I feel like it will become a disappointing outing for you. But if you make sure that you reach the later stages, the quarterfinals, the semi-finals, then when you get there, then you start think of reaching the finals. Eventually, you get to the final, then you have a 50-50 opportunity of winning the title, which Elena Rybakina did, and she was able to come out victorious.
It was, of course, a very huge one for Elena Rybakina, bagging that huge amount of money, over $5 million won down there. I tell you, really an impressive one. Now, the victory marks the 26-year-old fourth big title after wins at the Wimbledon in 2022 and Indian Wells, as well as the Italian Open a year later. This is her third title of the season and her 11th title on the WTA Tour overall. Until a few weeks ago, 2025 had been a disappointing year for the Russian-born Kazakhstani, whose presence in Riyadh was far from certain. She qualified for the tournament with a brilliant late run of form and has followed it up with some of the best performances of her career, winning her last 11 matches in the process. What will you say, of course, about her season? I think she won about 3 titles so far this season. How will you describe the season for Elena Rybakina?
Yeah, for me, I think she's been able to end the season on a high note because we all know how the season started. She hasn't been great, or she hasn't been at her best so far in the season. But she's been able to grind her results when it matters a lot, winning about 3 titles already in the season. I think her last 11 games of the season, she's been able to grind her result and come out all victorious in those ones, which is a very fantastic one. I think if she ends the season like this on a high note, it gives her an edge in starting the next season on a high note as well. And we all know how the season starts next year with the Australian Open.
Yeah.
And for me, it will be great that she carries this form into the Australian Open. It will give her an advantage and an edge over her counterpart. So yeah, definitely, I think so far this season, she's been able to make sure that she ends the season on a high note.
Impressive one, of course, for Elena Rybakina. And let's talk about, her play style. With a powerful serve, Rybakina is an aggressive baseliner who aims to finish points quickly and whose high-risk game style leads to an accumulation of both winners and unforced errors. She can generate effortless power both on ground stroke and her serve. Her forehand and backhand are both hit flat with relentless depth and speed, allowing her to generate excellent power with both her ground stroke, and she can hit winners with both shots. Her serve, which is capable of reaching very good height, allows her to serve a large number of aces. She led the tour in the ace count in both 2020 with 192 aces, and in 2025 she became the first player since Karolina Pliskova to hit over 500 aces in a single season. She also has good movement given her height, although this is one of the few weak areas in her game. Andrano Abenesi, a WTA coach, described her as a right-handed Petra Victova. Rybakina plays with a very calm demeanor, and I believe she can defeat any opponent this time around. What do you make of her style of play? You think that has also contributed to her success so far?
Yeah, definitely, Kingsley. We know that she has a powerful serve and she's an aggressive baseliner, and she actually thrives on the grass courts. That's where she thrives the most. And let's not forget that she also won her Wimbledon title also on the grass courts. Okay. I think she's considered one of the her serve is considered one of our greatest assets so far, and she's explained that the timing of her toss as well is one of the reasons she has a great serve. She times her toss very, very well and smashes it in order for her opponent not to find it easy when he also receives the serves or when she receives the serves. So for me, I think she's have a very, very fantastic way of serving and a very, very, very unique way of serving, which actually gives her an edge over an opponent.
What do you make of her height? Advantage for her or maybe disadvantage?
Yeah, for me, I think it's an advantage. We all know height is an advantage when it comes to tennis. It gives her a very, very wide range of reach. And for you, her swerve also, it actually plays a role in her swerve. I think her height is an advantage for her.
Impressive one. And talking about Elena Rybakina, we talked about her being the first Kazakhstani player, of course, to get to the to win a major Grand Slam.
Yeah.
That's the meaning of a Grand Slam.
Yeah.
First Kazakhstani player, of course, to make it into the top 10 in the WTA. Do you see how to be a source of inspiration to the people of Kazakhstan? So maybe encourage their children to go into tennis?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I think a lot of Kazakhstani children will be looking forward to or looking at a career. I think especially the girl child over there in Kazakhstan, they'll be looking at Elena Rybakina as someone that they would love to emulate, and someone that they will want to use as a role model. For me, I think born in Russia, but she was able to move back and go back to represent her home country, Kazakhstan. It tells a lot from her. Yeah. It tells a lot that it was actually done from a place of love, a place of passion. True. She wanted to represent her country at the highest level. She wanted that name of Kazakhstani people to be known all over the world when it comes to sports involvement. And for me, so far, she's been able to do that.
And of course, Elena Rybakina will always be remembered, for this impressive feat, in tennis. But we understand that she's very rich. She's in 2035. We understand she sold to an estimated $15 million US, a fortune carved from her relentless dominance on the WTA tour and her booming endorsements empire, with over 17.45 million US in career prize money. She has proven her staying power at tennis' highest stage, turning consistency into a gold. Girl is very rich, $15 million US.
Well, for me, I think that's a lot of money, Kingsley. That's a lot of money. I think sporting event or sporting involvement right now is something that every youth wants to involve, or every parent wants their child to get into. Not just sporting events like football, basketball. The likes of tennis, the likes of golf, the likes of athletics. I think they are doing very, very well when it comes to paying their athletes well, getting their athletes those endorsement deals that can actually give them money. I think that money that you just mentioned is a very, very huge sum of amount for sporting. I think tennis, they still have a lot to be done when it comes to female tennis, but I think so far there's a lot of improvements when it comes to the amount of money you can make from playing or involvement in sports or involvement in tennis. So for me, I think Elena Rebekina have just made a lot for herself.
A very beautiful lady, of course, you will say, very rich at this point in time. We don't really know if she's married or maybe she has kids at this point in time. Maybe we'll take it deep into that, but she's a very, very beautiful lady and also very rich. But what do you think the future holds for her? 26 years of age, 1 Grand Slam, 11 WTA titles. What do you see her, achieving going forward?
For me, I think Elena Rebekina has still she still has a lot to do when it comes to the female tennis. 26 years of age, she's still a young girl. She still have a lot of work. She still have a lot of display. I think she's still a prominent name when it comes to female tennis. She will still find herself performing at the highest level. And yes, from now on until the end of her career, I still see her achieving more and doing great things when it comes to female tennis.
All right, time for me to call it a wrap on today's edition of Sports Personality. Been an impressive one this morning, talking about Elena Rebekina, one lady, of course, that have put up a very huge feat when it comes to tennis. Elena Rebekina, the lady from Kazakhstan, telling the world what Kazakhstan is made up of, what she's also made up of as well. We'll wish her the very best of luck, going forward in her career. Can she attain the world number 1? That's another big question at this point in time. Can she also win another Grand Slam? We'll look forward to it. But 2025, you see, has been an incredible one for Elena Rebekina, bagging over $5 million in the WTA final. Special thanks to Miracle for doing justice on the show this morning. We really do appreciate your presence, Miracle.
Yeah, thank you, Kingsley.
All right, so you can go down to our different social media handle, Facebook, X, Instagram, and YouTube. The conversation, of course, continues right there. We'll be back by 6 p.m. for another exciting edition of Sports Extraordinary on Atlantic Television Network. My name is Kingsley Manuel. Thanks for watching.